Thank you for joining the program this morning. We are coming to you live from our studios in Kukumlimle at digital address GA0992539, live on your DSTV channel 421, Go TV channel 144 on your digital TV, and around the world at myjoyonline.com. To the details now. The Electoral Commission boss Jean Mensah and National Security Minister Albert Kandapah are expected in Parliament today to answer questions on ensuring a violence-free and fair election. Officials of the National Commission on Civic Education (NCCE) and National Media Commission are also expected in the House. Parliamentary correspondent Joseph Opoku-Gakpo joins us with more. Hello, Joseph. The Majority Leader, Oseche Mensah, briefed the House yesterday on what to expect during today's visit or appearance by these people. Tell us more.
The entire conversation would happen in two forms. First of all, the House will be sitting at the level of plenary and conducting public business, during which the Minister for National Security will be responding to questions before members of Parliament. So that will be happening in the full glow of the public. Usually that happens every morning, almost every morning before sitting begins, when various ministers come to respond to questions on the floor of the House. After the National Security Minister is done, per the provisions in the standing orders of Parliament, someone who is not a Minister of State cannot address Parliament at the level of plenary. So the Electoral Commission boss cannot do that, the NCC boss cannot do that, the NMC boss cannot do that, the Inspector General of Police cannot do that. So what's likely to happen is that after the National Security Minister appears at the plenary to respond to questions and MPs follow up with various questions, then the House will convene, not at the level of a plenary, but as a committee of the whole. Other people who are not ministers can only show up in Parliament and appear before committees. So the General House will reconstitute as a committee of the whole to allow for Mr. Yao Aibuaf, as well as Josephine Nkrumah, the National Commission for Civic Education boss, and also most likely the Inspector General of Police to also then respond to subsequent questions. One additional demand that the Minority Leader, whose initial request actually resulted in what we'll be seeing today, is that the IG, the Inspector General of Police, as well as the Minister for Interior participate in the conversation, apart from the National Security Minister. So when the House reconstitutes as a committee, then it gives the space, apart from the National Security Minister himself, Albert Kandapah, for all the other security officials to then go ahead and give the necessary additional information beyond what the National Security Minister will be telling the members of Parliament.
Joseph, do we expect that these individuals will brief the MPs separately, or they're doing it together?
From what we gather, they will do it separately. It will all begin with the National Security Minister, Albert Kandapah, and then there will be questions from MPs as a follow-up for him to respond to. And then, most likely, we gather the Electoral Commission will then be brought in to deliver more like a general address, and then after that, the two other officials will also speak to MPs, and after it's when each of them are done with specific presentations that the MPs will then ask questions to them generally. So we gather that the format will be the security.
Hello, Joseph. It appears
the aspect being dealt with separately from.
Sorry, we lost you there a bit. Please go on.
So it will be a conversation that would see the security issues being dealt with separately from all the other issues having to do with plans for the voting centers and all. One of the key things that we gather that the minority MPs in particular will be making a very big issue of in this conversation is the issue having to do with the biometric verification devices. The Minority Leader has hinted that he has concerns that during the exhibition exercise, despite the assurance from the Electoral Commission that they had procured enough to cover all constituencies, those devices did not go out on the day that the exhibition was being done. So they have questions about whether on election day there will be enough of those devices out there in order to allow for the necessary biometric verification verification of election. So it's likely to be a long morning. We gather that the sitting itself will begin around 11 o'clock, and it's likely to eat into a little later in the day before the House will be done with that.
All right, that's my colleague Joseph Opoku-Gakpo, parliamentary correspondent, briefing us on what is going to happen today. It's going to be quite a busy day, and you know, here as your election headquarters and most credible news source, will bring you all you need to know about the appearance of the EC boss John Mensah, NCC boss, NMC boss, and the National Security Minister. We're just learning that the IGP will also appear to brief the MPs on preparedness for the December 7 elections. Well, Minority Leader Haruna Idrisu, whose request last week led to the invitation, is making some fresh demands. He wants the police to give MPs the list of security personnel being deployed to various constituencies.
Electoral Commission tomorrow, but it appears that the Majority Leader has added others. I heard him mention Media Commission and NCC. Our request was specific to the Electoral Commission to give us a briefing on their preparedness for the presidential and parliamentary elections, because we need to ascertain the BVDs that we so procured for them. We've moved beyond registration. Now we need to understand verification. They procured 75,000. What is the state of it? In order that we understand that on election day, we are not going to go manual and that those equipments are in play. But if it's invited NMC and NCC, all the better. In respect of the security agencies, we want the Minister for Interior to support the Minister for National Security. And this time the IGP must be in attendance, because we want to understand what the deployment of the police service will be across the country to every constituency and to every polling station. We need to know who goes where. So appreciated. We look forward to tomorrow when they come to give us their brief. And I'm sure the whips, this is a matter which affects all of us. So as you've heard, Leader, you should get members to show commitment and interest in those matters for the future good of our country. Thank you.
That's Minority Leader Haruna Idrisu speaking on the floor on Wednesday.